Lance Stroll has been getting lots of mean comments from people after what happened in Brazil. The race hadn't even really started yet when he had a weird crash during the warm-up lap. On top of that, he crashed during the second part of practice and broke his car really badly, just like what Alonso did. But the difference is that Stroll has been crashing way more often than other drivers. Now people are starting to think he's a driver who doesn't want to get better anytime soon. With drivers like Tsunoda being connected to Aston Martin, will the team finally have to kick out Lawrence's son? And more importantly, is this something the Canadian rich guy will have to do if he wants to see his team win big races? Everyone knows that Aston Martin is going through the worst time in racing history right now, but they're still looking forward to their future that includes Newey and Honda. This team-up has brought so much winning to Red Bull, and as Marco said, there's no reason why it shouldn't do the same thing for Aston Martin too. Lawrence Stroll said it very clearly: the goal isn't to stop here but to bring Verstappen to. The three-time world champion has been open about maybe leaving Red Bull after 2026 and finding a better place somewhere else. This of course makes people wonder if Aston Martin would force Alonso to retire early, or will they do the unexpected, but pretty surprising thing of moving Lance to a different job in the team. The team boss of Aston Martin, Mike Crack, said that Lance's technical knowledge is very important and they're building the car around it. But right now it seems like his help isn't really helping the team at all. Alonso said the team is the 9th or 10th fastest right now. Since they're bringing Newey in 2025 and Honda in 2026, things will definitely get better, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done behind the scenes. One of the most important things that needs to be fixed is who drives the cars. We don't need any more proof of what Alonso can do in a good car, even though he's in his mid-40s. For Stroll, the situation is very different. With how comfortable he is right now, he doesn't feel like he has to perform at his best level to keep his seat safe. This was always going to be a problem for Aston Martin because the whole project is supposed to be built around him. Many people believed that Stroll had the potential to get good performance out of the car and prove that once the right people are hired, he could be good. They thought he could prove to the F1 world that he's not the joke of all the drivers. But if we look at what happened in Brazil, we can't help but question what he did on the warm-up lap. This is a guy who spun his car in a very weird place during the warm-up lap. When he tried to get back on the track, he did it by driving on the wet rocks instead of going on the smooth road that would have let him start the race. It was definitely considered a beginner's mistake. All in all, Stroll is just embarrassing himself at this point because it's really not nice to see him get worse the way he does right now. But again, he has nobody else to blame except his lack of driving skills. When you look at how Alonso manages to handle the car even when it's at its worst, Stroll just gives up and starts to act mean towards his racing engineer. He acts like it's the engineer's fault that things are the way they are. This is not something that Newey and Honda would be happy to work with. It's quite the opposite, which just gives us a very honest opinion that they will try to get some signature or even bring Colapinto. Colapinto understands what it takes to deliver performance when things get tough. Yes, he hasn't been the best teammate or driver when he was with Gasly, but that has changed a lot now. From what we can see, if Honda and Newey can turn Aston Martin into a championship-winning team, there's no doubt that Tsunoda can be one of the best drivers for the team if he gets signed. The big question would be who he or Verstappen would replace and whether Aston Martin will push Alonso toward retirement. But if they do this, it would basically mean that they will have one good driver on the track instead of two, since Stroll's importance would be very low to nothing. But again, the main person who should be in the hot seat here is Lawrence Stroll because he is the one who raised Lance to become what he is right now. If we're going to talk about it more, he gave everything to him and went on to talk in public that his seat is safe as long as he leads the team. That is, however, a big uncertainty going into the 2026 season because it's not just Max who's going to look for other choices elsewhere. If the situation with Red Bull continues, it's Tsunoda and his relationship with Honda that needs to be watched closely in this whole story with Stroll. One thing is for sure, Lawrence would have to pay attention to what Honda and Newey would have to say, as well as Aramco since they are their main sponsor. The team is now making it really hard for the title sponsor to explain where their money is going. This might be one of the reasons why Aramco was almost ready to buy out the team from Lawrence Stroll. In this case, Lance would have been out of Aston Martin really fast, even though everybody in the Silverstone-based team thinks that. There's no question about the love and commitment that exists between both sides. A bit of good news for Stroll is that Colapinto is considered as a Red Bull driver. This is happening amid all of the changes that are happening right now in the Austrian team. While he will be given a test with the Red Bull car at the end of the season, chances of his promotion are still sitting very low. Marco has tried to get people excited about them a bit, but the fact that Lawson finished in the points twice in the 3 races he participated in, especially in Aston where he started from 19th place, has shown that he might be the right choice when it comes to being Verstappen's teammate. On top of that, Lawson is a product of Red Bull's training program and it would make much more sense to promote him than so. We do know about the relationship that exists between him and Honda. Had it not been for the Japanese company, the young driver might have not participated in the sport in the first place. but his chances for a Red Bull seat are still there and high now that the test is supposed to happen after the final race. When talking about it, Horner said, "Well, Yuki obviously is a member of the junior team. It's something we've discussed with Honda. We gave Yuki a run up the hill at Goodwood earlier in the year, and that was unexpected. He was the first driver to drive a current Formula 1 car in an open-faced helmet and goggles. He will test the car again in the tire test following the end of the season. It's something that's been agreed for quite some time. It will again be good to give him a run, give him the opportunity to work with Red Bull racing engineers and see how he performs in a Red Bull racing car, whether you like it or not. Tsunoda is a real contender in Brazil. He showed that he can be a lot better than Lawson and whoever is put as his teammate. He outperformed both Gasly and Ricciardo in the same seat, and still received no attention from the Austrian team nearly as much as he would have hoped for. But what we must follow closely is how the development in Red Bull will go. While Verstappen has likely secured his 4th championship with the amazing drive from 17th place to 1st place, while Norris barely managed to finish 6th after a terrible race, the problems of the RB20 are going to continue and translate into the RB21 when everything starts over from zero. Both Marco and Jos Verstappen were very loud when it comes to the future of the 3-time world champion with Red Bull. When talking about it, Marco said that there's a high possibility we're going to see him in Aston Martin because even Honda and Newey have said they want to reunite their forces with Verstappen. Furthermore, Marco said Max drives where he can win. Aston Martin has the most modern factory. The wind tunnel will be ready next year, and there'll be Honda engines. Everything fits, basically. If you look at history, it's clear that everywhere Newey has been, there's been an upward trend. I don't see why that would be different at Aston Martin. The behavior of the RB20 has been questionable to say the least, and that might force Verstappen to think about another plan for his future. With all of this in mind, do you think that either he or Tsunoda will become part of the Silverstone base team in the future once the new rules hit? And more importantly, do you think it will come at the cost of Lance Stroll's future in the team? Let us know in the comments below, and if you're interested in the bad news that is currently destroying McLaren after the terrible Interlagos Grand Prix, make sure to click on the video that's appearing on your screen right now, *.